Today we are discussing the paper Philosophy of Mind. Unit 4 Problem of Consciousness. Intentionality of bodily motions and the mental causes are the propositional attitudinal states, such as belief and desire, is typically advanced in association with an account of the important notion of intentionality. Intentionality with an S is a term used in philosophical semantics to characterize linguistic contexts which are non-extensional. Everyday sense of intentionality with a T in which it's used to characterize actions. People having intention to perform certain actions. An intention to act is clearly an intentional mental state. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ഇന്റൻഷൻ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ് മെന്റൽ സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ആയ ഒരു ഇന്റൻഷനാലിറ്റിയുടെ ബേസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ള എല്ലാ ആക്ഷനുകളും നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിലെ ഇന്റൻഷനാലിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു നോൺ എക്സ്റ്റൻഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഒന്നാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്റൻഷനാലിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമുക്ക് ഒരു സ്പേസ് റിലേറ്റഡ് നമുക്ക് പറയുവാൻ സാധിക്കാവുന്ന ഒന്നല്ല, മറിച്ച് അത് നോൺ എക്സ്റ്റൻഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒന്നാണ്. People have intents to perform certain actions. അപ്പം നമുക്ക് ഒരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യാൻ നമുക്ക് അതിനെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള ഇന്റൻഷനാലിറ്റി നമുക്ക് ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. John reached towards the salt cellar intentionally and contrast this with the fact that in doing so he knocked over his glass unintentionally. In first, we are talking here to different kind of action, intentional and unintentional one. In second, they are the same action described in two different ways. Are the same bodily motion with the same mental causes. The two different descriptions of the same action produce two sentences that differ in their truth values. As intentionality did the reaching of the salt cellar may be true, even though as intentional did the knocking over the glass is false. The action is only intentional or unintentional under a description. അപ്പോൾ ജോൺ ഈ സാൾട്ട് സെല്ലറിലേക്ക് ചെല്ലുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു ഇന്റൻഷണൽ ആക്ഷൻ ആണെങ്കിലും നോക്കിംഗ് ഓഫ് ഹിസ് ഗ്ലാസ് എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു അൺഇന്റൻഷണൽ ആക്ടായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ കണക്കാക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റിൽ കാണുന്നത് രണ്ടും ഒരു ഡിഫറെൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആക്ഷൻ ആയിട്ടാണ്. ഒന്ന് ഇന്റൻഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആക്ഷനും മറ്റൊന്നൊരു അൺഇന്റൻഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആക്ഷനായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ കണക്കാക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ പീഡ് വേർ ഇത് കണക്കാക്കുമ്പോൾ ദേ ആർ ദ സെയിം bodily action with the same mental causes. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇത് എല്ലാനും ഒറ്റ ഒരു ഇതിൻ്റെ ഫലമായി വരുന്ന ഒരു ബോഡി മോഷൻ്റെ ഫലമായി ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സെയിം മെന്റൽ കോസസ് ഫലമായി ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന ഒന്നായിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ കാണാൻ സാധിക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ ഇതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇതിൻ്റെ ഈ രണ്ട് വസ്തുതകൾക്കും പരസ്പരമായി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വ്യത്യസ്തമായി നിൽക്കുന്ന ട്രൂത്ത് വാല്യൂസ് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ സാധിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്റൻഷനില് അയാൾ അവിടെ എത്തുക എന്നുള്ളതിന് ഉള്ള വാല്യൂ അല്ല ഇത് അദ്ദേഹം ആ ഗ്ലാസ് നോക്കൗട്ട് ചെയ്തു എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിന് വരുന്നത്. Nature of Qualia and inverted spectrum argument. The word qualia or qualia derives from the Latin for quality. It refers to the qualities of phenomenal individuals such as color, patches, taste, and sound. Since the demise of sense data theories, the term qualia come to refer to the qualitative or phenomenal. Qualia are part of the phenomenon of the subjective consciousness. Qualia എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് കോൺഷ്യസ്നസിന്റെ ഒരു ഭാഗമായ ഒന്നാണ്. Qualia those properties of mental states or events, in particular to the sensation and perceptual states, which determine what it is like to have them. Sometimes phenomenal properties and qualitative features are used with the same meaning. The felt difference between pains and itches is said to reside in difference in their qualitative character. The verdict aspects of experience are called qualia. Qualia were normally assumed that for certain types of mental states there is something is like to have them. In an inverted spectrum scenario, a person has color experience that are systematically inverted concern, concerning the experience of another subject when looking at an object of the same color. So, in the case of spectrum inversion, where one person experience of green are qualitatively just like another person's experience of red and vice versa. The visual experience of the two have when viewing a ripe tomato would be alike in their intentional features. Both would be of a red, round, bulgy surface, but won't have different quality. Fodor and Nedblock argue that two states can have the same causal rule, thereby realizing the same functional state. Yet the qualia associated with each can be inverted. This is called the problem of inverted qualia. The color spectrum example might be inverted for two different individuals despite their being in the same functional state. The inverted spectrum hypothesis often involves the further assumption that the inversion is behaviorally undetectable. You might imagine that Jack color vision has been inverted reality to Jill's since birth. Such this inversion is not rejected in his use of color vocabulary. Both Jack and Jill learn to apply the word red to the same sort of object. Reductionism and non-reductionism. A reductionist effort will be typically be directed against time that the mental state has some real independent status. At the core of scientific reductionism is the idea that higher level entities are all composite entities that are nothing but their component. The fragment of in slogan all are nothing but their part. Here reductionism is the view that psychological explanations are reducible to explanations formable in a physical vocabulary. The reduction can be understood in the loose or in a strict sense. In the loose sense, entities of given type are reduced if they are referred to nothing over and above other entities that we considered well established. This is consistent with the conclusion that the reduced entities are among the possessed of a mistaken worldview and thus have no place in our ontology. It is also consistent with the conclusion that the reduced entities are conserved among other aspects better established. In the first case, we have elimination and proposition. This, for these entities of a given kind, make us eliminatives about those entities. The information technology revolution has led to ambitious pronouncements by researchers in the field of artificial intelligence. Suitable programmed computers can literally be said to be engaged in process of thought and reasoning. In the second case, we have a reduction in the strict sense. A proposition for a given kind makes us reductionist. Reductionist project can be also semantic or theoretical. A semantic reduction attempts to show that it belongs to a certain class of expressions are semantically equivalent to that is definable in terms of another class of expression. Unit 5: Human Rationality and Artificial Intelligence. Our hypothetical rationality is one of the most prized possessions of human beings and is often alleged to be what distinguishes most clearly from the rest of animal creation. The traditional idea that rationality is the exclusive preserve of human beings has recently come under pressure from two different quarters. Artificial intelligence (AI) try to enable computers to do the things that mind can do. These things include seeing pathways, picking things up, learning categories from experience, and using emotions to schedule one's actions, which may animal can do too. There are four major AI methodologies: symbolic AI, connectionism, situated robotics, and evolutionary programming. Symbolic AI is also known as classical AI and as GeoFAI, short of the John Hagel's labeled good old-fashioned AI. Rationality and reason. Traditionally, reasoning has been divided into two different ways. On hand, a distinction has long been drawn between practical and theoretical reasoning. On the other hand, reasoning or rational argument has also traditionally been divided into deductive or inductive varieties. In deductive argument, the premises entailed or logically necessitate the conclusion. In an inductive argument, the premises or data merely confer a degree of probability upon a given hypothesis. It has often been regarded as the most relevant form of reasoning. Aristotle was the first person to formulate a rigorous formal theory to deductive reasoning in the shape of his system of syllogistic logic. A syllogism is a deductive argument with two premises and a single conclusion of a certain prescribed forms, such as all philosophers are talkative, all talkative people are foolish, therefore all philosophers are foolish. As these examples make clear, deductively varied syllogism, one of which the premises entail the conclusion, need not have true premises or a true conclusion. Though, if it does have a true premise, then its conclusion must be also true. Artificial intelligence and Turing test. The Turing test is a black box type of experiment that Turing proposed as a way of deciding whether a computer can think. Proposed by the British logician and mathematician Alan Turing. The abilities of digital computers are in principle indistinguishable from human intellectual capacities. The Turing test starts by supposing that there are two rooms, one of which contains a person, the other a computer. Both rooms are linked utilizing text-only communication to an integrator whose job it is, through questioning the entities in each room, to determine which room contains the computer and which is the person. The integrator cannot distinguish the computer from the person. The computer is declared to be intelligent. According to Turing and his followers, we should equate intelligence of computer that is pass the Turing test with that of an ordinary human being. Turing suggests that machines could be regarded as having exhibited real intelligence. The appropriate way to test for intelligence on this view is to see whether something behaves intelligently, and machine will have passed that has come to know as the Turing test. He predicted that some point we would accept that machines Searle's Chinese room argument, deducing the famous Chinese room argument against a strong artificial intelligence. It is designed to demonstrate that the software cannot make a computer conscious or give it a mind that is anything like a human mind. The view that appropriately programming a machine is sufficient for giving it intentional states. Suppose a monolingual English speaker is working in a room producing Chinese answer to Chinese questions well enough to mimic the Chinese speaker, but by following an algorithm written in English. Such a person do not understand Chinese nor would be a computer computing the same algorithm. Thrills believes that this is basically what the setup inside a computer like, and that is the non-Chinese speaking person is like a computer. Similarly, a computer only operates according to designed formal rules and cannot be aware of the content of the symbols it manipulates. Wills then conclude that the program is not a mind, for the former is formal or synthetical, while the latter has semantic content. The Chinese room argument is a powerful criticism of the position of strong artificial intelligence, which claims that mind is nothing more than a computer program. Connectionism and mind. Connectionism, an approach to molding cognitive systems with utilizing network of a simple processing unit that are inspired by the basic structure of a nervous system. Other names of this approach are neural network modeling and parallel distributed processing. A connectionist network is made up of a large number of units organized into layers. In a typical connectionist network, there are three layers and an input layer, a hidden layer, and an output layer. Each unit in the input layer is connected to every unit in the hidden layer, and each unit in the hidden layer is connected to every unit in the output layer. The theory considered the brain as a network of neural units that interact until they reach a stable state in response to external input. Connectionism is also called parallel distributed processing or neural network modeling. This approach, pioneered by Rosenwald and of Selfridge, the central philosophical implication of connectionism is that human intelligence can be understood to rise out of the whole structure of neural system in the brain. Such philosophical approaches is sometimes called neurophilosophy. According to connectionism, the mind is a connectionist network. A connectionist system or neural network is a structure of a simple neurolink process called nodes or units. The total input to a node determines the state of activation. The intensity of signal depend upon both on the activation level of the sending node, the strength or weight of the connection between it and receiving node.